Wait, before we get started, anything that you don't want us to bring up? We're not going live or anything, so we can just edit
Yeah,
it
we can
out.
cut it out.
No, I'm cool, man. Just talk. If I don't want to
Cool.
speak on it, I'll let y'all know.
All right, let's get it. We welcome in a man who has wheels. The man with a nickname for each jersey number, whether it be hashtag Young6 or Mr. 8229. The man who kicked a home run in kickball. He might not be the most interesting man for Dos Equis, but he certainly has the most swag, as he's also an ambassador for Game Day Vodka. The founder of 89 Ways to Give Foundation. A Rolling Stone might gather no moss, but I gathered my crew in here to introduce DMV legend and cowboy killer Santana Moss. What's going on?
What's up, fellas, man? Thanks for having me, man. Glad I was
Hey,
able to make it, man, because I was almost I was like, damn, I forgot them boys, man. I kept telling you, give me a reminder. You did that, and then I almost forgot anyway. So I appreciate you, man.
hey,
Busy
it's
man.
all good. It's
It's my
all good.
honor.
Santana, I know it's been crazy times. How are you and your family doing? Obviously we're kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel this pandemic, but
Mhm.
how's it been for everyone?
It's been cool with me, honestly. I just try to pray, man. I mean, some things are kind of out of your control, and this is out of all our control, like far as control. So I just try to just pray and stay out the way, steer clear rather. Um, a lot of folks getting the shot, getting the vaccine now, and I'm sitting here just contemplating when would be a good time for me to do it. I haven't ruled myself out yet, but I haven't got out there and just done it. My family, my father and my mom they got the vaccine, I think about 3 months ago, and they're good. And I just hate hearing all the hoopla about it, man. Eventually I'll get it done, but right now I'm just steering clear.
Yeah, and Santana, we didn't bring you on to talk about COVID because we want to talk about your life and your journey to the NFL. And I like to start with the early years. You were born in Miami and attended Miami Carroll City Senior High School. Not only were you a star football player there, but you earned third team All State football honors your senior season, but you were a track star on top of that. You were
Yeah.
a two-time state champion in the triple jump and won state title in the long jump during your junior year. And no big deal, you also set a school record in the triple jump with a leap of 14.81 meters.
Yeah.
But I know Brad has a question kind of about your upbringing.
I did. It's kind of a two-pronged question. So Miami, it's a football factory and recruiters are dying to get talent from that area. One, can you tell us about your craziest story from being recruited? And then two, how did Miami eventually get you to commit despite them not giving you a scholarship?
I think that all links in together. Honestly, y'all, that story in itself is crazy because, um, you know, track. Who'd have known that track would have got me into the University of Miami? I stopped running track my sophomore year in high school because of scoliosis or whatever they said I had. I didn't pass the physical, and it wasn't something that I wanted to do. But then at the same time, it was just track. That's how I looked at it. Track was something that I did because I never considered myself as world class because there was a ton of guys that could beat me. But on the football field, you can honestly see how track benefited. I mean, when it came to what my skills looked like when I was, on the football field. I was one of those guys that can basically take what I've learned in track and use it on the football field. When many guys who do both, you can't see it in them, on the football field. You don't see a guy who runs, the 10-2 or 10 flat on the foot. You don't normally see that on the football field. You have guys now, you have Tyreek Hill, you have a number of guys in the NFL now that have shown you that. But back in those days, I played with a lot of guys that was faster than me. And it took them a while to really build up and be that guy on the football field. But with myself, that's where it always showed up. And on the track, I was average, to say the least. I was average, but I was a great jumper. And so when I stopped running, I came back my junior year. Surprisingly, I got a chance to play. I passed the physical late, so I got a chance to play, even though I missed the whole training camp. My coach was one of those guys that if you didn't play, you didn't practice in the training camp or in 2 days, we call it, you couldn't play that season. And he knew that, hey, Tanner wasn't one of those guys who didn't want to practice. He couldn't. So I'm going to give him a chance that he have a window, 5 weeks. If you can get in shape in 5 weeks, then you could be on my team. So he gave me the opportunity. and I went out there and had a monster season. We went to the game before state and lost. And he was the one that told me, hey, take all that energy, man, you displayed this year. I saw a lot of growth in you and your play. Now, I remind you, we're a school that don't throw the ball that much. So that particular year, he's just started throwing me the ball once a game. And I'm just coming up with every catch. Because if he throws it to you once, he had a rule. If he throw it to you once, you better catch it because he might not come back to you. And I was catching everything he threw, but it was only one pass a game. So that year he was proud of me and say, look, man, take some of that energy to track. I think it will benefit you in the long run. I'm like, nah, coach. He's like, nah, I'm not really asking you to do it. I need you to go out there and do it. So, that coach he's one of those coaches that I looked up to, and every word that he ever instilled in us as a core, as a team, he meant it. And we was always one of those teams that, basically made sure that we lived up to what he wanted us to be. So I went out there and ran track, and I kind of didn't want to run. So I told myself I would just jump, and, if I have to run, I'll run a 4x1. I'm not doing nothing else. That was my way of not, being a hard head, being a knucklehead, and getting on the track coach nerves a little bit at the same time. And surprisingly, man, I won the triple jump and long jump almost every track meet, and then we get to state and I won it. I won in state championship game. And before we started the events on the track, actually, we had won the track meet. Me and another guy, Donald Heavens, he was our shot put in disc guy, also played football with me. He won a shot put in disc. I won triple and long, and we placed in third in the triple with another guy, and I believe second in the high jump. We had like 80-some points. The track meet haven't even started yet. That was all in the field events. So when our track guys got out there and ran, we had them won the track meet. So we come home with the school's first state championship ever in track. And I'm a state champion in triple and long. And now my name is ringing. Football season started, and I blow up. Surprisingly, we throwing the ball 4 or 5 times a game, and I'm the guy. Then we take that and win state in football. But long story short, what happened was, even going to my senior year, University of Miami took notice, and they wanted me for track. And I got a call from Coach Shannon. He was the recruit guy for football, that he was recruiting a lot of guys on my team, but not me. And two of the guys that grew up with me in my neighborhood, they was already playing for the University of Miami. They was linebackers, and he was actually coaching those guys, Rod Mack and Nate Webster. And they told him, look, pay attention to number 83 out there at Carol City. He's our homeboy. I know he can play here. And he was like, yeah, but they don't throw the ball, so he don't have that much film. They were like, I know, but just watch him. And he saw something in me 1 or 2 games, and he gave me a call, say, look, man, it's already said that you coming here for track, which I didn't know at the time. So I was like, track? He was like, yeah, we recruiting you for track. I hung up the phone. That was my first call, saying that I had a scholarship. And I hung up the phone. I went off to Western Michigan for a visit. I went to Eastern Michigan for a visit. I had to go to Utah, and I hadn't went to Utah or Pittsburgh yet. And after those 2 visits, I knew right then and there, boy, I prayed that Miami called me back for that track scholarship. And he called me back, knucklehead, listen, look, this is what we doing. And man, whatever you say, yeah, I'm down. So that's how I kind of went. And basically with that little conversation of ours, he informed me that I was coming in on track, and they have a thing where, if I'm worthy, if I'm capable, they would let me walk on. And if I, live up to their expectations or what the people say I can do, I can get they will reward me with a football scholarship my sophomore year, which would be my red shirt freshman year. And honestly, 4th game of the season, they gave me that scholarship. I was already, I went out there and I raised enough eyebrows, and I had to play early as a true freshman.
That's sorry, Eric. I was just gonna say, like, that's really a story for a lot of kids today, because they're told to specialize now. Like you have to play one sport if you got a shot to make it to the league, because they need all the film. Yeah, like that story you're telling right now is just showing, look, you just got to get eyeballs on you, show that you're an athlete, and somebody will give you a chance.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, I look back at that situation and I'm like, man, I gave a lot. I still to this day thank so much of my football coach for just seeing the energy that I brought to the team that year, because you got to think about it. I wasn't going to play football my junior year because I missed the entire training camp. So he saw that, man, this guy missed the training camp and came in here week 1 of school. When school started that that day in August or September, whenever the fall season started, I came in there. He was my weight crate, or he was my scrim coach. So I had a class. We all the football players had to have weight training as a elective in high school. That was our thing. If you didn't have it as an elective, you had to practice before practice. I mean, you had to work out before practice. I didn't want that, so I said, "Hey, I'll take it as a class." So I come into his class like, "Look, man, I passed, but I understand your rules." He's like, "No, you was my starter last year. That rule, you're exempt from that because you had a problem, you had a situation." So he saw something, man. He saw that. He set me out for 5 weeks. My first week back, I scored a touchdown, and it was just like that, man. He was like, "Man, yeah, this guy's ready. He's hungry." So all that built up into me, man, or built up in me, and just set me off. And it's crazy. Win track state championship. We go and win football, and then my senior year in track, we didn't have the same team. We had a lot of guys missing. We go up there again. I could have clearly won the long jump again. I was supposed to. I was the defending champ. Won the whole year. I'm killing everybody. I had to basically, I scratched like all my jumps. I had one jump to make it back to the finals. So I jumped not touching the board, and I got myself in like 8th place. Nice. And my first jump in I believe the finals, it was a good jump, and it was like way lower than what I jumped my junior year, but it got me 3rd place. So I surprisingly got in there, and I didn't jump my best. So I was mad. I was pissed about that. And triple jump, I blew everybody out the pit because I was just so pissed off. But I could have easily won the long jump again, but I didn't, man. I fell short, and I felt like I let my team down. But I said all that to say this: we got runner-up that track meet in the state champion track meet. So we didn't even come to defend our title. We knew we didn't have the same guys, but we still ended up being runner-up. Yeah. So it was just crazy, man, that we was out there performing at a high level as a team and individually, and it just all came from the hard work we put in throughout those years.
Man, listening to this, I want to go tomorrow to a track and sprint. But Santana, going to the Miami days, and you had mentioned they didn't give you that scholarship till after the 3rd game, and they made the right decision to award it to you because you went on to break Hurricanes records for most receiving yards with 2,546. Your senior year was especially special as you had 1,604 all-purpose yards, being named first team All-Big East Conference honors and were first team All-American. You also became the first player to earn Big East Offensive Player of the Year and Special Teams Player of the Year award in the same season. You are one of the most important players in Miami football history. I don't think that's an understatement. Yeah. And you graduated as the school's all-time receiving yards leader, punt return yards, and all-purpose yards. Rightfully so, you were part of the U documentary and inducted into the Miami Sports Hall of Fame in 2011. I'm tired just reading that.
I'm not. Keep it on. Keep going.
All right. Well, your stock was very high coming out of college, and the Jets selected you 16th overall in the 2001 NFL Draft. Now, you wouldn't make your debut until Week 12 against the Patriots, and you'd finish your rookie season with 2 catches for 40 yards. But the following season, you'd have more of an impact, catching 30 balls for 433 yards and 4 touchdowns. And 2003 was really your breakout party as you had 74 catches for 1,105 yards and 10 touchdowns. But I know Coach has a question about just that wide receiver class you were in.
Yeah, and that was that double-digit touchdown season. You were part of a great wide receiver class, including the likes of Reggie Wayne, Chad Johnson, Chris Chambers, Steve Smith, TJ Hushmanzada. But it was Corn Robinson, David Terrell. And I remember being beside myself as the Redskins drafted Rod Gardner, who wasn't a scrub by any means, to pick before you. It took 3 seasons before DC corrected the mistake and traded Lavinius Coles to the Jets. What do you remember about draft night, and did you think you would end up in New York as a Jet?
Yeah, I was pissed, honestly, man. But I'm glad that I've been that guy always not to really get besides myself ever, because the entire week I was told I was going to Washington. And I mean, when I tell you, I've talked to everybody, Washington Post. Every day I was getting someone from Washington calling me, asking me how it feels to be coming to shop. Back then Chocolate City was the name. Everybody want to talk about Chocolate City. And I'm like, look, man, I'm not from Missouri, but you got to show me. I don't like to get all my hopes up high and then I have a letdown. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I had that perspective way back then as a young 20-year-old, 20. And I wasn't even 21 yet. And so when I saw the Redskins at the time, we was called the Redskins. They picked Rod Gardner at 15. I sat there and I was like, boy, I was sipping on some yak at the time, honestly. And I remember because I was, that
You should.
has always been one of those things that calm me down. You know what I mean? I've always found that can keep a lot of those butterflies that we get going on as a player or as just a person, period. I was sitting there sipping, and I was in my mom den, and I'm sitting there like, man, I'm glad I didn't get my britches up in a bunch. But surprisingly, when he got selected, that phone rung, and I'm like, damn, like they just picked Rod. So why I'm getting a call? But that was the Jets moved up to 16 to get me. And it was crazy because I had told me and a friend told me I was going to New York when I was a senior in college. My senior year, before we even started that season, we had the Big East seniors captain breakfast in New York, in Manhattan. So all the Big East captains would go to Manhattan and we'd sit there and talk about the upcoming season. And I was the only one that was complaining from our team the whole time about how dreary it was, cold and wet. Yeah. And I'm like, man, this city is, don't get me wrong. Once I got to New York, I had found a different love for it. But at the time, being young, growing up in Miami all your life, all I know is palm trees and beaches. So, when I saw buildings and cold and all those people, yeah. I was kind of like, thrown off a little bit. But, you hear so much about New York and the big city. And I don't think that was just something that was appealing to me. So I know I shared this story before about not wanting to come to New York. But once I got there, I realized, the significance of, playing in New York and just, being a star up there can be, pivotal for my career. And, we talk about my early years. It's crazy. We didn't mention that, after that first year, I was hurt the entire year. I hurt my meniscus. So I got I repaired it instead of just getting it carved out. And I'm glad I did because they was pissed about that. But that second year, the next year, I was the first team All-Pro as a punt returner. I led the league in punt return touchdowns, and I was snubbed for the Pro Bowl after having that rookie season of not doing much. So if you look at it, we just mentioned that my breakout season, my third year as a receiver, it was back-to-back years where I was a Pro Bowl alternate for a punt return. My second year, I really call that my first year playing, and my second year really playing, but my first year starting in 2003. I was an alternate again as a receiver for the Pro Bowl. So I look back at that quick 4 years and I'm like, man, I did some great things up there in a short span of time, knowing where I came from, basically how I got to that point. A lot of people don't look at it like that. And I'm not a guy that's going to call somebody and say, hey, man, look up this and give me more credit for that. No, I'm not that guy to do it. But I just hear so many people get, big ups for how they, their careers was. And I'm like, here I am. I went through the fire and back, you know what I mean? And was able to make it out unscathed and put up big numbers. And I don't get those recognitions or get those big ups that I see a lot of other guys get. So
and being a little guy as a wide receiver, you just get underrated to begin with. I really think that's why maybe the Redskins at the end of the day were like, oh, Rod Gardner's this bigger guy, and we're just gonna go with him. But yeah little guys and wide receivers.
Dan Snyder wanted me. That was the story. Every year leading up to the draft, I would hear somebody come from, the Redskins at the time, and they would tell me like, Marty Schottenheimer and Dan Snyder had a big feud draft day about me. Dan wanted me, and Schottenheimer said he wanted a big receiver. So, Rod Gardner was a gangster. I love Rod, man. Rod was thing at Clemson, and Rod actually did his thing with the Redskins. When I got there, Coach Gibbs told me it was going to be me and Rod Gardner, but Rod didn't come back. So, he didn't want to be there. And surprisingly, man, everything panned out well for me. Now, I didn't get a chance to see those playoff appearances like I would have liked, but I can't be mad about my career. I wish I had a couple more attempts here and there, but man, look, I was one of those guys, man. Whatever you gave me, I tried to make the most of, and I think I did so,
Yeah, and Dan Snyder got his wish because after your fourth season with the Jets, you were traded to the Washington Skins at that time, which would set you up for the best statistical years of your career. And Santana, I know you're a believer in things that happen for a reason. And as soon as you went to Washington, you made Vinny Serrato look smart, which is probably one of the few occasions, as you caught 84 balls for 1,483 yards and 9 touchdowns and earning your Pro Bowl that first season that you deserved. And you'd play a loyal 10 years for the team, which I don't think we see a lot anymore, having 3 1,000-yard seasons, finishing third all-time receptions in the team history, and winning the hearts of tens of thousands of fans. Now, there is one game that you know we have to ask about. And I know Brad wants to ask this.
Well, so it's another two-parter question. I don't know if it's the game that you want to hear about, but so first, I'm curious, what are some things that the NFL players deal with just to get on that field? When we wake up and we're nerds and we love to do our fantasy football, fantasy lineups, and we see a guy with a questionable tag and we look back at the history, do they normally play with questionable, or how do they do when they're playing kind of hurt? It's just kind of it's a letter to us, but you guys are real people. You're going through real stuff. Like, you're playing through broken, but like, what do you guys have to do to get out on that field that fans don't really know about? That's my first question. And the second question that kind of ties into it, I need to hear the Henny game story, man, with you and Clinton Portis.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, folks better realize, especially coming from where I came from when it came to missing that almost my whole first year in New York. I mean, I told myself, I basically made a pact with myself, like, look, man, if I can play, if it's like 80% of me, if it's 75% of me, I'm going to go out there and go. I played with less. I played at 50%. You know what I mean? So after hurting my knee early in my career, I never wanted to be sitting on the sideline and watching my team go to work when I know I can do something. Like, I don't have to be the star. And I never really carried that. I always wanted to be one of the guys that will help us, do my part to help the team win. So I knew that sometime, being a decoy, I learned that in college when I hurt my ankle my senior year. I was a decoy for 5 weeks before I really started, getting to my groove again. So having that in the back of my head after having that first season as a pro, I just told myself by any means necessary. So I learned from some of the greats. Curtis Martin taught me a lot. Marvin Jones when I was in New York. I had T-Buck there for 1 year. They just taught me about taking care of my body. So I got a guy when I first got to DC that was going to basically stay in my basement. Look, he's going to take care of me. And if he couldn't do it, like, I know, like, I can rest assured that this guy, he just let me know, leave it on the field. Because he knew that once he get me on, as long as it ain't broke where I can't do anything, he's going to get me back on the field. And then it's sometimes when he'll tell you, like, look, you can probably not break nothing and it still be a little percentage or a chance that you might not play depending on where the injury is at. And when it comes down to the story that everybody heard, it's a couple of Henny stories out there because it's so crazy because one of them was a real time I needed it. And the other time people don't know, I always did it. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like it was a one-time thing. I did that career. So it just, couple of games got more recognition than others, but the one game that I spoke on another podcast was the game against the Cowboys in 2007, I believe.
This is the one with Master.
No, this is the one with I believe Patrick Peterson and Brian McFadden's podcast.
Okay.
Did. Yeah, it's the same with Master too. Also, yeah, you're right. I talked about it on his podcast also. I basically just couldn't play. I wasn't going to play. I had missed the game already. My heel was so big, I couldn't put a shoe on. I was cutting out my cleats, the back of my cleats, just to try to walk, and see if I can go. And I had missed a week or two, I think, by that time. I probably missed 2. And that was going to be my 3rd week missing. I had a boot on throughout the week. So, folks don't know, man. We go through all that stuff. And just know I'm sitting home and it sucks to be in season and not playing. No one wants to be hurt. I know some guys love it. Myself, nah, I don't feel like I'm doing my due. I don't feel like I deserve that check at the end of the day. If I'm not playing, I'm not going to tell you can keep my check, but that's how I feel. Like when I got that check, I didn't feel good about, not being able to go out there and lay it on the line with my team. So Dan came and gave me a holler and was like, look, man, shit, can you give it a shot? And just all I needed, sometimes you need that push. And I told him, if that's what you want from me, I got some things, I got some remedies that I can, cook up. And
you took a little literal shot.
Yeah, we gonna go out there and see if we can do it. And it happened, man. I mean, I want to advise, like I said before, I want to advise nobody to do it because I was just another person. But I laugh about it a lot because I look back on it and I'm like, that's some of the things that we shouldn't get praised for it because it's not safe, you could say, when it comes to some of the things that we do. But if I'm a person that's on a team and a guy, and I hear that story and I know that guy, and I'm watching this guy's body of work throughout the years, and I'm wondering why he went about his business, then I gotta give him a little more, you know what I mean, than what I gave him before. Because look, a lot of guys checking out. A lot of guys like, man, screw it, I'm straight, man. They ain't finna mess up my league, or they ain't finna have me out here playing for nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, but that was just the guy in me. It wasn't fun feeling like I felt. But look, if I can get out there and give it my all, because I was going to probably play anyway. And I'd rather play with no pain than having something in the back of my head saying that I can't be myself.
So wait, so Santana, I don't like Henny, and please don't hate me and block me or anything like that. So what's a good backup for someone that may not be a dark liquor guy like myself? What's your go-to?
Tito's now. Tito's has been my favorite now because, Henny was that thing that I did when I played a lot, and I didn't know at the time that dark liquor period put weight on you. So due to the fact that I'm not, that deep into my nutritional intake, but I am at the same time. One of the things I knew about Tito's, it was gluten-free, I believe, and I don't chase a lot no more. So normally those fruit drinks and stuff that you chase your liquor with is what give you that added sugar that puts the weight on you. So I stopped doing all that. I stopped intaking dark liquor, and now I just stick to Tito's. Tito's does it right for me because now I don't have to be that tanner no more on the field.
Man, no free ads though. We can't be giving Tito's.
No, there is one free ad.
You know what? We need to give them all ass, and I need to give them a ring too.
There's one more free ad we're gonna give on here. Have you tried Hugh Jackson's tequila, Graham Leenda?
Not a tequila guy, man. I'm sorry, man. I probably would try it if someone would say, "Hey, just take a shot." But that's the only time I ever have tequila. Like if someone would say, "Man, take this," and they probably have to get me to do it because I'm always turning tequila down. Like I can't stand the taste of it.
No, I understand. So we're gonna go to one Cowboy game to another Cowboy game. This one is 2005, and I'm gonna give it to Coach, the one that is decked in all Skins gear.
Yeah,
this remembers that game vividly.
This one speaks to my soul, and we're talking a little drinking here. The year of the small receiver in 05, you and Steve Smith lead the league in receiving yards. This is the Monday Night Miracle. The one I remember vividly was my first and only full-out bar fight, the Hooters of Rockville. Everybody got a Cowboy fan, and I had one that says DC stands for Dallas Cowboy. Anyways, long story short, words were said, and we were wrecking. But 2 touchdowns, 1 bomb on a 4th and 15, 40 yards with 3:46 left, and another 70-yard torpedo in the final minute. It was the first win in Dallas in 6 years and one of my greatest Redskins memories. Can you tell me about that sort of walk-off finish, what the rivalry means to you being, kind of playing the role of a Cowboy killer?
I mean, honestly, that's a way to really be introduced, as a Redskins that season. I mean, I just came from my first game. It was home, and I had 90-something yards in my, my first game as a Redskin. And then to go have, score the first touchdown, the first 2 touchdowns of the season for the team, and to have a walk-off, basically like a home run touchdown like that, it meant a lot, man. I didn't even really know how big the rivalry was because I just came from the NFC East, and I knew, as a Jet, the Dolphins game is big, the Buffalo game is big. Back then, Indianapolis was in our division. That game was big, and New England was big. So you pick your poison. But I didn't know in the NFC. That was the AFC East rather. Now I'm in the NFC East, and the Cowboy game just seemed to have a different significance than all the others. Being young, kind of naive a little bit, not knowing much about the division, I didn't really go into that game with that perspective of just as the game, you have to really go out here and rise your level of play. I've always been a guy that, when you give me opportunities, it's no telling what I can do. That's one of the things that I would probably write in my book a lot, speaking about opportunity. That's something I learned early, in my playing years, something that my high school coach spoke about. And I kind of based my career and even my post life off opportunities. I'm big on being ready. I've always been a guy. That's why I like to prepare. That's why I'm one of those guys. If I can't go in and I didn't get a chance to go out there and get going, I'm not wanting to sell myself short. So I want to be ready for every, opportunity. And that's what that game really came down to. You look at that game, a lot of folks give me a lot of credit for that game. And I'm like, yeah, truthfully so, I should probably get a lot of that credit. Mark Brunell could get a lot of that credit. The coach who really, who got called to tell that Tanner was pissed off should get a lot of, Porter should get a lot of credit.
The Cowboys DBs get credit.
They got credit my whole career for me beating them. You know what I mean? But honestly, man, you can give credit to a lot of people, but then I look back at it, I'm like, if you look at my career, it was a stat that stood out amongst all the other stats. And it was like, I had probably at the time, I'm not sure if it's like that now, I had probably more touchdowns and catches in the fourth quarters of a lot of games in my career.
Absolutely.
A lot of other receivers. And it stood out to me because a lot of folks might look at that, oh, that's garbage time and kind of getting his stat on. No, that's the time when I'm like, yeah, when you think it's over, I'm still trying to eat. You know what I'm saying? I've always been hungry like that. So, I look back at that game and I'm like, it was a great way to really be introduced to this team. And now they know. I mean, this guy back-to-back weeks gave us, he gave him a little something in week 1, and week 2, he let him know, hey, this is going to be me all year long. And, basically throughout my career, if you give me opportunities, and that's what that season was, man. That season was magical because now the coaching staff was like, man, we're going to throw this stuff out, all this crap we got in the playbook, let's throw it out. Santana can run everything. They were basically drawing up stuff weekly to tell me, hey, well, I saw this team that played the team that we got run this play. We don't have that in our game plan, but can you run this play? Put it in there, coach. I can do it. And that's how that season was. And then I hate to talk about that season because I look back at it and I'm like, man, we changed the offense the next year and started me from having the success that I think I could have had throughout my whole career, because now we're trying to run a base offense when, my skill set didn't really, put me in the base offense. You could just use me, like put me in the backfield, line me up in the slot, bring me tight, bring me in motion. You do a lot of stuff. And I see a lot of guys now with my body type and my skill set that's getting used that way. But unfortunately, the teams that I played on, wasn't up to speed on that then.
Yeah, and Santana, you wrapped up your career in 2014, but there's a lot of other things you've been getting into. Several television commercials. There was one in particular I want to bring up. Do you remember the Eastern Motors commercials?
Yeah, I remember those Eastern Motors days because I honestly didn't know what we was doing, but I knew that at the end of it, I had a nice car to drive around for a couple of years. So, I was going to do it regardless.
Could we get, for the first time ever on a podcast, Santana Moss singing the commercial?
No, not at all. I'm not getting paid for it, so no.
Oh yeah,
no free ads, man. That's
no free ads.
Oh, yeah. Man, that's fair enough.
Probably the only thing we have in common is that we're handsome and we both have an MBA. I pursued mine for career advancement opportunities, but you were already established when you went back to school. What made you want to get it?
Well, you know how like when something is meant, we spoke about it a little earlier. I had kind of like probably 4 years prior to being asked. I was like, man, I want to go back to school, but I need a reason. I need something that's saying like, this is the reason why you should go back. I had got my undergrad, so I was kind of cool with that. I was sitting like, man, I graduated before I even got to the league, made my mom proud twice, graduated and got drafted. So, why should I go back? Give me that reason. Then out of nowhere, them last 4 seasons, I was playing mostly in the slot. And my last year, I really feel like, I didn't get a chance to really showcase the still that, I had still stuff left, you know what I mean? And, that was like a bummer to me a little bit because I could have easily got 2 or 3 more years out of my career. But like I said before, when sometimes things are meant, it just happens. You can't really question. And so my agents being, who they were always, they always gave good advice. And Jason and Drew Rosenhaus gave me a text like, hey, bud, University of Miami has this program for athletes and entertainers to get their master's in business. And I think it'd be something good for you to put yourself into during the off season, just in case. We don't know. You're a free agent. And this is your, second time being a free agent? I think the first time I signed right back with the team. And so this is just, and now you're much older. And then depending on how that season was, who knows how long it takes for you to get picked up. So I understood. And I'm like, let me give it a little thought, and I'll let you know. And I kind of like prayed on it at night, went to sleep, woke up, I'm like, bro, this is an opportunity in a lifetime. Take it. You never know what you can get out of this. And I had already been, dabbing a little bit here and there into the business world with some of the little, the investments I was into that I didn't know crap about, but I'm out there, knee deep in them. So I thought it'd be good. And I said, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And it was actually probably the best thing I could do for my career, because now here I am, first year out of the game that I played for 14 years, and I'm lost, man. I'm really a fish out of water. Like, I don't know what. Like, I'm home and just looking at the wall. Like, man, this is not what I expected. And now I look back at a lot of guys who probably had to deal with that, and it happens to us all, because you don't know. You've been doing something for so long, you don't know how to take those years when it comes. You don't know how to just jump right into being somebody else or being the person that now you have to be outside your career. But I still had hope that I can play. So I never was giving up that hope, and I still was training. But I think it was best for me to have something else going on. And school was the best thing for me, because now my mind deep into studying every day. And it was hard. It wasn't easy at all. So just knowing how hard it was, it gave me a chance to escape from the thought of playing to now I want to graduate. And as those weeks padded up and added on, I kind of just said to myself, watching the league, how things go, listening to my agents, how they gave me phone calls here and there, I kind of sat back and I thought about the guys that I watched coming between those doors and get cheated out of a practice or even a chance to play, and knowing they had potential. And I'm saying to myself, now I see guys all the time. For 14 years, I've watched guys come in that I can play with, that should be playing. And it's a number system now, because now they're not getting paid, so they don't really have to have you there. When they got some money in you, they're going to get it all out of you. When you're a guy that's floating around, it's a number system. If you can, be on the team and they can, sneak you in there without having to worry about, paying somebody else, or if somebody got hurt, then you good. But if the first time someone gets hurt, you the casualty. You're going to be the guy that had to take the fall, because now we have to move somebody to bring somebody in for that slot, and you're the only guy that's around that we really don't have no money in. So I didn't want to be him. And I was hearing those, rumblings here and there. My agent would call me and say, hey, we got some calls, but everybody know you can still play. They're watching the film like, man, why didn't he play much more last year? And I'm like, you got to understand my situation. I had a whole new staff, and they didn't owe me anything. So they didn't play me like they should. And they kind of tried to, whatever they wanted to do those first 6 weeks when they was trying to play with me. Then they tried to throw me in after that, those 6 weeks. And I'm like, now you have a guy that's not motivated. So yeah. I played my last year kind of discouraged a little bit. Like, man, these people really took all the work I built up to be ready to have a bomb, 14th year. And they cheated me. They really took that from me. And then they tried to throw me in there. And the coach tell me to my face, yeah. And to me, telling you this story, I felt like it was like a slap in the face. Because I go in his office after everything over, and I'm just going to be professional as I can be. I gave everybody a handshake, man. Hey, coaches, it was a good one. See you guys one day, maybe not next year here. Because I kind of felt it, And especially if you're going to be the coach. And it's talking about Gruden. I didn't have no hard feelings for Gruden. I feel like I still had, the utmost respect for him. And I respected him as a coach, because I know he didn't owe me anything. And I shook his hand like, hey, man. And he like, yeah, that was on me. I should have played you earlier. Come on, man. I deserve more than that. Like, don't tell me that. And I didn't take it like that. But after I got walked out of that office, I'm like, see, that right there is the reason why, some of us as athletes handle situations like that differently. I couldn't let myself be that person, though, because I'm like, man, you just cheated me out of a season. And then you tell me that to my face after the season over with. But you know what? That man up there got everything in control. And so what's meant is meant, So that's why I didn't take it. I took it like a grain of salt, and I just walked out the door. But just knowing that the organization knew my body of work, Dan Snyder has always been a guy that I had the utmost respect for. I knew it wasn't the end of me being around Washington. I just felt like I did too much. And I didn't see myself being in broadcasting or nothing like that. But I just knew that I put too much into this organization for me to allow, my last days with them to be that, And so I just stayed true, man. Walk out the door, and school kind of took everything, out of me when it came to football. After 8 weeks and just knowing that, man, I'm out here and I didn't get the call that I wanted, I was done. Because I'm like, you can't cheat me and say I'm ready for you to come up here week 12 and be a body. No, because now I'm cheating your team and I'm cheating myself because I can't get myself together after all this time and say I'm gonna go out there and give you something. You know what I mean? I know other guys would say, hey, I'm gonna take the check, but I'm not that type of guy. No, I want to give you good product. You know what I'm saying? And you could pay me for that. But I don't want to take your check if I can't put the best product on the field, for you guys. So I just told myself it's a wrap, and I called Dan and was like, hey, man, I'm going to retire skin because I'm not going anywhere else. And he was like, man, come up. And that's kind of how everything else now what I'm doing kind of started.
And you so stand up for that because I remember being a true fan watching – 2 years prior, you had 8 touchdowns and he was super clutch in the fourth quarter. It's like, why is he not starting? Like, why is he not playing? Well, why is he not even like playing at the end of the games and some of these close games? Yeah. And I can see you explaining it now that it's a coaching staff thing. And I just want to let you know that the fan base, we were all clamoring, saying the same thing. It's kind of like, why are we going to scratch Adrian Peterson game 1 when like the year before he's running all over people? Like, this makes zero sense.
It's a system. It's a number system, man. And it's always guys like ourselves be, casualties by, because, it's funny because I remember going to games, the first game of that year in 2014, I remember we played the Texans and Andre Johnson, he was my roommate in college. We was close, always been close. And the DBs was getting ready because they knew at the time Tanner had been moved to the slot. Everybody knew that. Even with me being in the slot, I was still the same dude, And so Andre, I remember him sharing a story with me like, man, the guys came in the field like, boy, 89 ain't playing. We are so happy. And I'm like, see, this is the crap right here because your coaching staff don't have enough sense to know we got to put this guy on the field, because you got to think at the time, man, we had D-Jack in his prime and
Marsone, right?
Marsone in his prime. Now those guys still doing their thing, and now you got a grown man in the middle, in myself, that's still taking kids' lunch money out there on the field. So at the time, man, even they was pissed off about it, and they were like, me and DJ used to talk a lot about it, about like, man, they tend to say something, and I'm not that guy, man, because I feel like I put the work on the field, like the proof is in the pudding. So what I used to do, man, it's crazy because we had Coach Raheem, he was the
DB coach.
Yeah, DB coach. Yeah. I would go run the scout team of anybody who was that guy for the other team. And they hated me out there. Like all of them used to be like, bro, if D Hall was a guy that used to, bro, he was standing up for me like, Tanner, this is bull. Like, you need to be playing, bro. You giving us hell in scout practice. I'm like, I'm doing this for a reason, because one, they ain't gonna cheat me out of my reps. I gotta get out here and practice. They told me to go take a knee. I'm a veteran. You deserve a break. Nah, you giving me a break Sunday, I might as well work throughout the week. You know what I'm saying? So let me go out here and eat and get my guys ready. So I was out there taking advantage of the opportunity just to run the scout team, knowing that I'm going to give myself a chance to be the guy. So when you throwing the ball to me, this is what I can do to somebody else's DBs. And when they needed that, they knew I could do that. But it was just one of those things, man. They got to weed you out some kind of way. And that was the way of getting me out of there,
We're talking to Santana Moss, the ultimate professional. And I
has me running through a wall right now, man. Let's go.
Yeah, it makes me want to just stay at my job the rest of my life. Santana, we like to get our guests out of here with a little rapid fire, a little this or that. You game?
Yeah, I'm game always.
All right, you probably have not heard some of these questions, so just be prepared. I know you are. Would you rather go 1-1 against the Cowboys, you win in Dallas, or sweep the Giants?
Honestly, man, that's a good question. Yeah, 1-1 against the Giants. Trust me, they
always gave you guys problems.
They find a way to this day. I always tell folks, we always give this praise to the Cowboys. The Giants have always been our toughest opponent. So, but just to go 1-1 against the Cowboys, I take that any day, because I knew what it does to the city. The city is like it's a zoo when we beat the Cowboys.
I love it. Would you rather ruin the surprise at a surprise party, or show up and realize too late as a black tie event?
Ruin that thing, man. I don't want to be surprised. I don't like being surprised, honestly. So, don't sell me a good time, man. Let me know. So I just say ruin it.
Okay. Well, you're the first person that wants to ruin someone else's joy. Would you rather give up your phone or only wear Crocs the rest of your life?
Would I rather give up my phone or wear Crocs for the rest of my life? I wear Crocs for the rest of my life, man. I ain't giving up my phone.
All right, I like it. I'll get you a pair. What we talked a little bit about this prior. What did you max out in the league?
Oh man, so I was sharing with y'all a little story.
Yeah.
So I never really knew in the league about maxing because in college I did all my maxing there. But Carlos Rogers, man, he was on the team and we had just got D-Hall. D-Hall first couple of days as a Redskin, him and Carlos, they plotting on make that. Them guys found a way to gamble about everything we did. So D-Hall with his new money, he just got a bunch of money from Oakland. And now he here with us with some new money. They betting guys who can throw one rep of something on the bench. I forgot what it was. Carlos knew, man. Carlos' dog be like, I'm finna get him Tanner. So Carlos like, D-Hall don't know Carlos finna get him. So Carlos like, come on, I know Tanner could throw that. So D-Hall like, bet, man, Tanner a little, it was like 375. And it was on the bench. And like I said before, we never really maxed, but Carlos just seeing me in the weight room, he knew I was pretty strong. And I got up and I didn't even know if I can lift it, honestly, because the last time I probably benched was at UM. And I think I did about 350, 360. 375 was something new to me. And I got in and I just threw that thing one. And then I did it a second time. So 375, I give myself a max. I haven't even tried more than that because I never was big into all that being able to bench a whole lot. I didn't, like I said before, you see these dumbbells behind me. That's all I do.
Real question: did Carlos Rogers give you a cut of that?
Oh yeah, you best believe I got it. That's the only reason why I did it. I want doing it for
you played D-Hall. I love it.
375. You played that off real, man. You acting like oh, let's throw some weight around here and there.
But honestly, bro, it was a surprise because I didn't think I can do it. I went there doubting myself, like, man, I'm just gonna give it a try. But hey, we can win. It's not my money, so I'm not losing anything.
There you go.
Love that.
All right, this one isn't football related. What is the name of your high school crush?
I ain't have a crush, man. You know what's so crazy? I did. No, I had a middle school crush. I had a girl but I never knew her name. It was something with a T. I liked this girl in middle school, real crazy. But I never knew. I just knew how she looked. She was a little growner than me, man. She might be too grown for middle school. She was on. I'm glad she was just a crush.
Oh man, I like it. Well, should have shot your shot.
Yeah.
All right. The next one.
No, son. He's married. He got kids now. He's good.
Yeah, he's good.
Oh, we're talking back in the day. Santana should have shot his shot.
I got one. 7v7. You got one of your former QBs. Who you picking?
Oh man, shit. I only could pick one, huh?
You gotta pick friend of the show, Jason Campbell.
Yeah, we are Jason Campbell fans.
I don't know Brunel.
Jason, no, he's my guy, but I got to go with Mark or either Benny. So I'm gonna go with Mark. Since Mark was a Redskin with me, I'll go with Mark, man. Mark Brunel, man.
All right, awesome. This one is completely the opposite of football. Would you rather a bell ring every time you're horny or never be horny again?
Ring that damn bell.
No hesitation.
My man.
Come on.
My man.
The hell? What type of question is that, man?
Let them know. It's time.
He did give you the warning that there could be some weird ones.
Yeah.
Ring that damn bell. You already know what time it is.
Light the candle.
We got a few left here. Would you rather sleep on the floor, no blankets or pillows for 1 year, or for 1 year, every shower you take has to be cold?
Hell no. I'm going to sleep on that floor.
But couldn't you just take a quick shower and just be done?
No, not in no cold water, man. That is impossible, man. You ever had one of those things going on in your house where just something's going on and the water pressure is not giving you in, and that'd be the worst bath ever. You could barely get in there and be comfortable, man. Especially if you up there in the cold, you can't take a cold shower in the cold. So I sleep on that floor any day.
If you're just tuning in, Santana does not like the cold.
Nah, I'm bro. To this day, man, my blood is too thin. I've always told folks that, man. Like I can maintain myself in the cold, but I hate it. Like even when I was playing, you got to see the things that I did to be warm on the field. Like I did so much crazy stuff, man, because I just knew that I had to play. I had to play in that, in those temperatures and that weather. And it's impossible to go out there and just act like I can take it for 60 minutes. So I made sure that I was as warm as possible.
You a Florida boy through and through. You took your college visit to Utah and Michigan. You were like, I got to get this Miami thing going again.
I should have known that he would have picked sleeping on the floor after thinking where he grew up. All right, I got 2 left here. Would you rather live in a world where you dance instead of walk, or sing instead of talk?
Sing instead of talk.
I knew that answer because of the Eastern commercial that he won't sing for me.
Nah, I'm one of those guys that when you walk around the house or you in my house, I'm always harmonizing, singing something. I grew up in a house. My mom has a pretty good voice. My younger brother, Sonoris, who played in the league, he can blow. To this day, I still get on him because I felt like he should have been a singer post-career. Now he's acting more than he's singing. And I'm like, bro, you cheating yourself. Like, singing is your thing. Like, I always said, if it wasn't sports, it was going to be singing. But he chose acting. So I would say singing because it's just one of those things. I'm a Gemini, and we laugh about this. Me and Travis Thomas, especially when we had our podcast going, he would always say I'm the perfect Gemini because I like the rap, and then I cut it off, and I'm an R&B cat. So I'm the best of both sides on that to this CD.
All right. The Moss family plays football and sings. I love it. The last one. If you could pick, what would be the new Washington football team nickname?
That's a tough one. I'm not going to cross that bridge. Honestly, whatever they pick, I hope it's something good. I'm kind of satisfied with what we got right now. And then,
it's grown on me.
It's one of those things, man. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And I'm a firm believer of that. So, I understand we didn't have the season that we wanted, but we took that season and played in a playoff game. So if that's the worst we're going to be with that kind of that name, the Washington football team, then I think the next thing is up from there. So right now I'm cool with what we have. Don't wreck your brain trying to fix it.
No, that's certainly true. And speaking from someone that was playing before the team, Santana, it was a pleasure having you on. Before we get you out of here, is there anything you want to plug to our listeners? Anything you're working on?
No, I mean, right now it's been one of those kind of times, man, that it's so much stuff that we still don't even know what we're going to be able to do. I see the CDC is opening up a lot of things. So I just hope everybody have a clean bill of health, man, going forward. You guys I'm talking to, the world, the people who I don't get a chance to see, I'm just praying for everybody, man, because I feel like what we went through, man, this last year, it was an eye-opener, I take the good with the bad because I honestly learned a lot about myself. Also got deep into politics, which I never thought I'd be into. And now I see things a lot differently. And I think we all have to go through something just to get to where we need to go. And that's where I'm at right now. We went through a year of just not knowing, and we still kind of in that no man space where we don't know. I'm hoping that everybody can just stay healthy, man, and make it out of this thing so we can talk about it down the road.
Yeah, and if you want to follow him on the socials, you can find him on Instagram, 82thenine, for some motivational quotes and a lot of throwback Thursday pictures. That's the theme that he has.
I love Instagram, man, because you could just be straight to the point. You ain't got to sit up there and tell no stories. You know what I'm saying? The pictures basically tell everything. So that's where I'm at. And I have a Facebook page also. I throw a lot of my stuff from Instagram to Facebook. I'm not really on Facebook. The community is too big for me. Mm-hmm. A lot of Facebook stuff is like being in a reunion. You see all the folks back in high school and stuff, and I'd be like, man, I ain't got no time for this. So,
and he's not active on Twitter, so don't go trying to find him there.
I think my last tweet said I was chilling, so I'm still chilling.
Oh yeah, always chilling
for sure.